And we are live. Hello and welcome to Developer Insights. I'm David. Together we're the leads on game development and design here at Codename. Yep, and we're going to be your hosts for this episode and for every episode. It hasn't happened yet, or the opposite, not being... Anyway. That's right, you could now spend nearly a whole day watching us struggle to pronounce people's Twitch names. You're muted. Well, how could that be? I changed one setting. It should be coming through the system audio. Yeah, why am I not getting any system audio? Sorry, everyone. Do. Choose your audio output device. One second. I think I got it. Audio output capture. Speakers. Okay. All right, Justin.
Hello? Hello, can anyone hear me? I'm trapped in a Zoom window. Send help.
What does the chat say? Come on,
Chat
let us know.
Says,
All right.
yes. Okay. Let's start over. Today is our 13th episode.
That's right. Wait, what? Afterwards, I can tell a story about why you don't buy complete audio USB audio interfaces.
Excellent. Okay, well, you know what? This reminds me of our 13th episode, but today is actually our 24th episode.
Yes, that's right. You could now spend nearly a whole day watching us struggle to pronounce people's Twitch names.
And set up audio things. But I think in those 24 hours, we might have actually answered a few questions in there somewhere as well.
Incidentally, we might have. But I think that's not what people really tune in for.
Well, in the event that you're wrong, we are here to answer your development and design questions about Idle Champions or other things.
And if you don't ask any questions, you may have to suffer through Justin's one-man reenactment of the past 23 episodes. It sounds really hard.
Actually, since the holidays are approaching, I'm taking a much lazier approach to these one-man shows, so it's actually just a rebroadcast of the stream's VODs with your half of the screen covered in a big sticker.
Hey, wait, you can't crop me out. I'm the one running the XSplit here. Wait, no, OBS, that's what it is. I'm running the broadcast, whatever the software.
Hey man, it's up to the people. You'd better hope there are questions.
No. All right. As always, we pulled some questions from the previous show that we didn't get to, and we'll start answering some of those while we wait for new questions to come in. And as it turns out, we actually had a significant amount of questions that we didn't get to last time.
Oh my gosh, we have so many.
Not due to technical issues, but due to just having a lot of good questions. So,
you know what we didn't do before the show started is figure out who was going to answer each of these questions.
Yeah, we really prepped for this one today.
It is getting very close to Christmas at this point. Let's see. Yeah, we can just start from the top.
So the first question here, left over from last week, is from Squirm651. And Squirm651 would like to say, okay, not a question so much as a wish. It would be really nice if we'd be able to sort TimeGate champions by slot when choosing.
Yeah, I think that's a cool idea. I think we can probably add a filter or a sort for that. That wouldn't be hard. Feels like one of those things that Dave can just make appear next week.
Oh, I can do that? Okay. All right, we'll highlight it.
As quickly as we can fix audio issues, we can make sorting options appear in the time gates.
Right.
Let's see. The next question here is about consoles. So I'm going to ask you. From Zelderons, they say familiar screen for console. Any plans to, I guess, upgrade it? It would be nice to only see current party familiars for unassigned, for example, or better use Y for unassigned in the assigned area, etc.
Yeah, I mean,
dialogues.
that screen does feel like it could use a little bit of love, especially since it was designed before the multi-party stuff went in. So if it's, sorted by what the active one is, that would actually be a lot more useful. Yeah, I mean, we don't actually have, so the question was any plans. We don't have any plans on that at this moment, but I think it should be tagged for something we can look at going forward, because it could definitely use some improvements there. Okay, next question here is from Dino J96. This is where we're actually getting all the names right this time.
Yeah, we're doing well.
We're on a roll, 3 for 3 so far.
Yeah.
And they ask, will you be adding more achievements for things like reaching 1100, 1200, etc., since the level cap has been extended to 2000? Same thing for gold achievements, etc.
Yeah, I could see adding some additional levels of achievements there. It just hasn't been a priority for us. So probably at some point there will be more things. One thing I will say is the cap has been increased up to 2000. But in general, we're not expecting players to make it much over 1,000 without kind of some creative strategies there. So we're in our design, we're still thinking of around 1,000 being kind of the cap that players can get to through kind of normal play.
Did someone tag this as a rebroadcast?
Is it tagged as a rebroadcast?
I feel like something had been passed earlier. I see people talking in the chat. I mean, hopefully they're joking, because I do think someone tagged us that earlier. I saw something.
This is not a rebroadcast. It is definitely December 2nd today.
Okay.
Now I'm just messing with people. Anyway, it's December 9th, people. I'll go get a newspaper. Here's a question from Dradok, who asks, are there any plans on implementing other language options?
That's an easy one. The answer is yes, it's well underway. We don't have an actual release date targeted at this point, but it's coming up soon, TM. That's us soon, not like Valve soon, but...
It's Codename soon. It's actually worse than Valve soon.
Oh, no.
It's better.
Okay, next question is from... Oh, there we go. This is it. You
can pronounce that.
Ganasashi. I'm going with Ganasashi. Their question is, can we ever get a mechanism to uncomplete a variant?
So we don't have any plans to add a mechanism to uncomplete a variant. I think there's just a bunch of kind of caveats and things that come out of that we don't want to have to deal with. So the only way right now to kind of replay a variant is to wait for us to release a new patron and replay it in that patron. So hopefully that is good enough for now. I think we got a similar question on this either last week or last episode or the episode before that. So I gave a longer answer to it then. But yeah.
Okay, next question is from Inflexible2K. Can you please fix time drift for trials soon? I remember it being mentioned that it was going to be fixed about a month ago.
Yeah, so it is going to be fixed. I've got a long list of trials fixes that are planned for the new year, but we're likely as we start to get closer to the holidays, and it just gets more and more challenging to get these things out before Christmas. So it's going to be a New Year's gift at some point in the New Year's, and not a Christmas gift, unfortunately. But it is definitely on our plate. We are planning to. I'm planning to write up a bunch of the kind of planned trials changes and include those in the end of year dev blog, which I guess I have to write next week, along with some teasers for some of the other stuff that's coming up next year. So keep your eyes out for that. Here's a question for you, Dave, from Henry Lonewind, who says, any news on the cannot buy on Epic when the game has been running for more than half an hour issue?
Yeah, so I don't think that's gotten, I think that ended up getting put onto the back burner. I guess the issue with that one was that the sort of the credentials for the store portion of that log out or time out after whatever that period is. I think maybe it is half an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that's ended up being prioritized past once we figured out what it was. And I'm not sure when that can be put onto the front burner again. But yeah, no news on that.
We just need a stove with more burners.
Yeah, it's a fire hazard. Next question here, also from Henry Lonewind.
Oh, okay.
No, you don't want that one.
This
you
is
want
in
the
your
next?
color.
Okay. We'll just go on then. We'll go to that one in a second. Next one here is from Garwar then, asking any chance that we could see Patreon cores in the future, something that's sold in their shop that provides focused bonuses to help you do their content with their champs.
Yeah, I think this is a cool idea to have more Modron cores in various places. Some of them certainly could come from patrons and could be focused on those individual their sort of champions and their requirements. I think that would be really cool. And we've recently in sort of our design meetings been talking about ways to get more cores into the game, and whether it makes sense to add more cores above and beyond kind of the 3 that are already in the game, because obviously you can only have 1 per active party. And so up until we add more active parties, you'll only be able to use 3 at a time. But it could be cool to be able to level one up and figure out how to best lay down the pipes. I think it's fun. I enjoy doing that. Let's see here. Let's go back to this question from Henry Lonewind. It's actually a request, and they say, can we get the ×1, ×10, etc. Button to cycle backwards on a right click? I only use ×100 and upgrade, and clicking through the rest is a bit annoying, to be honest.
I mean, that's a good question. I like the idea. Do we have anything that works on the other click? Is that a click we have? Can we click?
I don't think we have anything that really functions on a right click right now.
Yeah, it's like we forgot it even existed.
And we're not even Mac users.
Yeah, that's right. I think you can get mice with 2 buttons for Mac at this point.
I think
2.
You can too.
Just 2. It's still limited to 2, though.
That joke might have dated me a little bit.
But I think they do still sell just the 1-button mouse, I think.
Oh, my. We should have a whole hour about that.
Yeah, next to why you don't buy complete audio to
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll talk about all sorts of technical stuff.
Okay, next question, and actually the last question left over from last week is from longtime lurker, not first-time poster. They ask...
I've seen them post before.
Yeah. Should the new blessings that boost potions be affecting speed potions, as it's currently does not?
Yes, so that is a bug. They are supposed to be affecting speed potions, and the dev team is aware of it, and it is something that will get fixed at some point, I assume. But it's definitely on the list of things to fix.
Okay. All right, on to the new questions. Need to quickly color some of those. First question here from Alpha Crawl would like to know any updates on Trials cooldown. 2, are there any changes upcoming on Trials as more and more will finish Tier 10? Are people actually finishing Tier 10, Justin? Is this?
I guess we're 10 weeks in. They could be.
And are you planning on adding more tiers or just changing the difficulty so more people will always be stuck at Tier 5 to 7 and the few that will actually complete the highest? And very few will actually get the highest with increased rewards, of course.
Yeah, so I did. I answered the first half of this in the questions from last week, but I saw the second half, and I guess I wanted to take the opportunity to kind of talk briefly about what kind of Trials changes we are planning. And so one of the changes we are planning is to redistribute the difficulties. That doesn't necessarily mean that Tier 10 will get harder and that you'll need to go further. It just means that we're rebalancing it to take into account sort of all of the scroll buffs and champion buffs and whatnot that were missed the first balance pass through, so that you don't finish it by just finishing the first day's worth of requirements and then you're pretty much done. So we're going to try and rebalance it so that you have to complete at least several days of your trials in order to progress and be able to finish defeating Tiamat. So there will be some rebalances there, and that's just one of the many things that we are adjusting with the trials changes that'll start to happen in the beginning of the coming year. This coming year. I know someone was mentioning there that I didn't mention which new year, but it is the coming one, which I guess is also 2023 is coming as well. So in any case, yeah, there's a lot of questions in here about about trials and what's coming up. But I think that's pretty much, unless there's something that's kind of on a completely different track in terms of trials, that's probably going to be as much as I'm going to tease about the upcoming changes. Let's see here. Dave, we've got a question from Vovcast.
Oh, not again.
Who says the more background party simulation and offline calculation questions. Yes. Okay. This will give us at least 5 or 10 minutes for me to go highlight some more questions.
It's not going to.
Oh no. Okay. Well, they're asking how are Averin's mirror images handled? Averin casts 4 images with a 15-second cooldown. Calculation starts with 0 images every area, or all 4 images transferred to the next area and starts with 4. So basically, how does it account for that? What about ultimates and other skills with cooldowns? Are they transferred between areas or reset every area?
Right. So I tagged this because what I wanted to say to it is, I don't know. Mark knows. I'm going to take this and I'm going to tag it to get an answer for next time. And so we'll have an answer for this one next time. I'm just going to break this as needs answer. But that is those are details in that system that I don't have. And the same with the next question here, also from Volcast, which I'm going to have the same answer for, so I'm just going to add it in here, which is during background party simulation, are quest items gathered instantly, or do 3 familiars on the field gather them more quickly? I think the answer is, as it's processing, that it just pulls them in instantly, but I'm not sure, and I'll add that to the question to ask Mark, and he will also be able to add that answer, and then I will have the answer to both of these for next time. But that is not something that I have the details on off the top of my head. So
if I had to speculate on the question about picking up quest items with familiars, I would guess that the number of familiars you have on clicking doesn't actually affect the speed of the party. I would be surprised if that was part of the simulation, because I mean, as Dave has mentioned before in previous episodes, offline progress is or background progress, they both use the same code, is it's not running the full simulation. It is running what it needs to in order to progress, but somehow I doubt that picking up goobers is part of the simulation that gets run.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not going to speculate, but I'm going to ask Mark the details on that one.
I'm going to speculate.
We'll see how that ages.
I might
Fine
be
milk.
Wrong. Cool. I highlighted a couple more questions up here that you can.
Yep. Let's go with a question here from Emmett.
Emote.
Emmett. I don't emote.
It's emote with 2 M's.
Emote. Okay. Is it intentional that Witchlight Favor can't be rolled for legendaries?
That is not intentional. That is probably an oversight, and we will get that fixed.
Okay.
Boop. That was easy.
I don't know anything about this secret month-long time gate thing, so unless you know something about that, I'm going to skip over that.
Oh, I can answer that.
Oh, you do know it?
I do know about that.
All right. Then this question here from Cassius335 is, what's so secret about the month-long time gate secret that nobody told Garwar?
So I think what this is referring to is the fact that there's no free time gate until January. We had one last weekend, and the next one's not till January. So the reason that's happening is because we had to adjust some stuff around for the holidays, because we're not going to be in the office for a couple of weeks, and so it ended up with all the readjustment and stuff that two events ended up back to back. Normally we've got a week between the events, and that weekend between the 2 events is when we run the free time gates. But coming up, we've got the event that's running now, and then right after that event ends, the next week will be another event. So there won't actually be a weekend between events where there's no event running, and so we're not having any time gates there. And so the next free time gate will happen after the second of those events, and that's why there's some time between them. It's not really a secret. I'm not sure exactly what happened there with Garwar, but yeah, no secret. It's just the way that the events ended up at the end of the year, and we try not to do that It's just it just happened to be how the cookie crumbled.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you this one here.
Oh, I didn't. All right, fine.
I'm highlighting it for you.
Oh, no.
So that you can highlight it in yellow and pass it on to Peter. It's a question from JDog2773, one we've seen before. And say, when will we have the times 100 plus next upgrade option for leveling champions? So assumedly they're just asking, when will the times 100 one buy upgrades as well as buying the levels?
You know, I feel like we had this question or something, a similar question in a previous stream. I marked it down. I gave it to Peter. Peter looked into doing it. Didn't get it done inside of the period of time that he had available, and then it just fell right off the face of the list.
Let me help you out there by highlighting it in the color that we pass on to Peter.
Pass it back to him. I think there was there was something tricky about it, which is why he didn't get it done as quickly as he thought he could. I'll have to follow up with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Next question then here is from Elf Egris. Sure. Or is it Elf Egris? It's like a Egris being like a point of entry, or is that a point of exit?
That's an egress, and an egress sounds more like a bird of some sort.
Okay. All right. So Elf Egris asks, hi, how many players want to get Briv 100% 4 skips? Or it's many players, not how many. Many players want to get Briv 100% 4 skips. Not an easy thing to do once there. But once there, we get tons of Electrum chests that can mess up with that. What's the solution? Avoid your gifts? That sounds sad. Maybe a feat for Briv lowering his percentage.
So this is actually something that we were discussing earlier this week and sort of how we can implement this. And I actually really, really like the idea of a feat or a set of feats that caps out that level or the item level of that piece of gear at a certain one. And so you could have one that caps it out at 2 skips, one that caps it out at 3 skips, one that caps it out at 4 skips, and then you can assign the one that makes sense for you. Because we were trying to figure out what kind of a generic way would be to let players kind of max their item levels or pretend that a piece of gear has a certain item level, and it was getting quite complex and sort of how do we implement that and make it general enough. And I think actually going very specific with like a feat is actually a really elegant way to do that, because it's not generally something that comes up on other champions. You don't want to, you're never going to have like an all champion damage piece of gear that you're like, oh, I would really like it if this one didn't give me quite so much damage. So I think the idea of making that champion specific and having it take up a feat slot, so it's a choice, and you're giving up something else to have that benefit of having exactly 4 skips. I think it is actually quite a powerful and an effective fix for that. So I'm gonna try and remember that for when we discuss that again.
Okay. Well, someone in the chat is saying that the fact that you've got a video background and I don't makes me look lame. So
yeah, look, and the fire's actually going too. It's hot. Oh.
I think we're just gonna have to take a picture of what's behind me and put it over behind you.
No. That is the opposite of the solution to this. You just need to start a fire behind you, and then it'll be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool isn't the word I'd use for a fire, but yeah.
Well, it'll be really hot.
Yeah. Justin, of course, is sitting in our streaming room, which has the green screen that,
what are
ironically,
you talking about?
I painted.
There's no green screen. No, I'm in a tavern. I'm in a tavern with a dragon head on the... I can point directly at it because I can see it. I'm just not turning around. There it is. And, it's a real place, Dave. Don't destroy the illusion.
I'm just going to wheel this desk over to the other green screens over there. That'll work.
No.
It's actually not a bad idea. At some point, we'll actually need to go into the same room again. I see Sean and Taylor have started that. Although that streaming room itself gets pretty stuffy. So
yes.
You just both sit out here in the office with the background of... All right.
These are exactly the kind of dev insights that people tune in to see.
You see Chris just walked by. It's perfect.
Oh, there goes Faith.
Yeah.
Oh, little poopy dog.
You don't see that in your tavern.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's true.
Yep.
But there's a dragon head right there.
And right here is another question. This question is from Volcas, asking, how many enemies choose which target to attack when they see 3 row 1 heroes first time or after a pushback? Is it random with 33% with a 33% chance, or is it something different?
Yes. How do enemies choose which target to attack? It's random. It is 100% random.
Is it? Are there tanks that have like a taunt?
There is exactly. There are currently no tanks that have taunt.
I thought we had done that.
We at one point, we do have some tanks that have taunt in Crusaders, and we briefly, I think Naeli had a taunt at some point in the past, but
you took it out.
But we took it out. Briv has a taunt.
Yep, the chat's saying
What?
Briv taunt.
Okay, Briv has a taunt. I did not remember that. Well, you know what? Who uses Briv anyway? Man, Briv's pretty good. We do have another champion coming up that will have a taunt. I know that. I know quite a bit about the last 6 champions that have been released and the next 6 champions that'll be released, but everything else just kind of straight out of my...
Oh, right. They're saying there's a reverse taunt with Turiel.
That's true. Turiel has a vanish type mechanic.
Okay. So other than those cases, it is random.
Other than those cases, unless there is a taunt or something that affects that, it is random. That is true.
Okay.
Let's see here. Let's go on to some more questions. Here's a question from Henry Lonewind. I can pronounce that one. Who says, I tried out the Android version to confirm that it works on a Kindle Fire. It does.
Yes.
And I found that it has a save button. Why? Oh, and by the way, I like that all the keyboard shortcuts still work in the mobile version. That's technically true.
Yeah. So let's see. There is a save button, and actually, the save button I think is there. It wasn't actually specifically enabled for Android, although it is there on the Android version. It was there enabled for iOS, and it came as a request from a player that I handled a couple of years ago now, and I'm trying to remember exactly what the situation was, but I know there was some issue around the game not saving when it was closed immediately, and I know we struggled with that for a while around that time on various versions of the game, and sort of when you closed it, having it save properly. And I know there were also some issues with the iOS and Android ones where if the game's running and then you just turn off the screen, that it immediately goes into like a background mode, and that was causing some confusion when the game was loading back up. And so this request had gone in because the player in particular had found it more comfortable if they could just be like, hit the save button, they know it's saved, and then close it. And so that's why that button is there. And as far as the keyboard shortcuts work, we'd have to actually have gone out of our way to disable those. And so if you plug a keyboard in, they all work on your Android.
Cool. Let's see. Next question is from Silverion X. And their question is quite simple and straightforward. What's at the top of your list for fixing/improving right now?
Right. Well, I don't know what's on the top of your list, but I know what's on the top of my list because Peter and I have been discussing this around the offline progression reporting still, or progress and reporting. So A, making sure the reporting is right, and B, making sure the offline progress is right. I know we're working on, as we've mentioned in previous streams, that we wanted to get in updates for the bug tracking system so that we can get a better handle on what issues we ended up correcting and what issues were still ongoing. And so it seems like, and we haven't got that out quite yet, though I know Justin is working hard on getting that finished, so one issue that seems to be still reported is around that offline progress and what's reported there, whether that's incorrect in terms of what's being reported or whether it's incorrect in terms of it actually didn't give the correct offline progress. And so we have an idea for tracking how that offline progress works in such a way that we get a whole lot more information from every step of the way. And that is what is the top of my list, is putting in a system where every single progression update, we'll be putting a record into a set of records for each player so that we can look through and see at each step of the way what was reported, and then what you see in that welcome back display, and hopefully we can see why there is a discrepancy from what's there and what's expected. And yeah, I mean, that's certainly top of my list, and I'm sure it's top of seeing that fixed is top of many people's lists in the chat. I am quite confident.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Let's see. Go back up here. From Mike's DK2, they're asking, why are the Modron cores not labeled in the Your Parties overview? It seems silly that you have to view the cores to see what core is with what party.
Can't disagree with that.
Yeah. I think this is probably something that we would revisit, or would have revisited even without this question, if we add more cores. Because right now the 3 different cores, they have a different graphic. So if you kind of know which graphic is which, you can tell which core is which.
Do they have a different graphic? Did we actually get to that? Because for a long time they didn't.
I know.
Yeah.
They do now have a different graphic. I know because I had to change my core around today to beat my trials area requirement. Had to go use my level 15 core. But yeah, they do have different icons, but it's definitely not intuitive. It's not a good setup.
Yeah.
I would also like when you actually go into the core to like see which the name of the core somewhere on the view core dialog as well.
Yeah. It seems like a major oversight.
It does.
All right. Yeah, major oversight. Next question here is from Doorbell Streams.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand.
They phonetically spelled out question.
Question. Yep. All right. Question. You said you're not expecting people to get over area 1K or so without some creative strategies. Is this going to be taken into account in any future adjustments to the trials of Mount Tiamat highest difficulties, which require as much as 1,450 areas for day 1?
Yes. Yes, it will be. It will. Yes, it will be. The rebalance will take into account sort of where we expect players to be and where we expect players to be going in the next year or so. I mean, obviously that 1K cap is sort of where we think it will be now. As we add more ways to power up your parties, as we add more blessings and patron perks and soft cap increases, then we expect that power level to go up and up and up and up as we do more and more. So for now it will be pulled down in the rebalance, but it will probably either creep back up or we'll add more tiers, more likely more tiers to get that back up as we go. Okay.
Here is a follow-up or a question that is basically a follow-up to something we answered earlier, and it's asked by Fennec. Why can't we switch between cores in the details view, but have to go out and then click on another one?
Yeah, I don't know, but I do find it to be quite annoying as well. I've recently been trying to level my 3rd core and switch over to it, and it's just a pain in the butt to go between cores. So I think there's some definite improvements we can make there for usability and functionality.
Yep, agreed.
Absolutely. Here's a question from Irian UK, who says, any news on being able to click off active potions? It would certainly be useful to cancel Fire Breath early and also speed sometimes to make clicking easier at times. I know we talked about this in a previous episode.
Yeah. I mean, it hasn't been something that we've put any further discussion on onto in discussion. Wow. I don't know the word that. Anyway, it's still something that's worth thinking about, but it hasn't been something we've been able to prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Next question here from Vampire337, who asks, could feats be added to the formation save in the same way that spec choices currently are? For example, it would be nice to have a Strahd formation including Q-Man with his +1 int feat, but in a non-Strahd formation the feat isn't as useful to have equipped.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like something that should get added at some point. I feel like this has been asked before.
It's definitely been asked before, and I think what we've said before is, yeah, that sounds useful, and
Yeah,
We'll get to
find
that at some
time for
point.
that. And that, of course, would only be on the Modron ones, right? Like because I don't think does it save the specs?
The normal
when you,
ones don't save specializations, but this would actually be useful to have on the normal ones more than the Modron ones, because you're generally like your Modron. If you're doing a Modron run and you're repeating over and over and over, you're going to be able to just go and put that feat on, and it's not going to be, something that that is a super pain in the butt to do if you're just going to have them repeating over a same adventure over and over. But if you're trying to do variants, like patron variants, or patron challenges or whatnot, then it would be useful to have in there.
Yep, for sure.
We can certainly discuss where it makes sense to put that.
Okay. Next question here is from Fern I Sienna? Kuna? All right. If an enemy gets pushed back into the spawn zone, I'm looking at you, Penelope, they seem to stop taking damage. Is this intended? And if not, could you change it? At least for bosses.
Yeah, it would be a bug. Anytime that an enemy is getting pushed back so far that they stop taking damage, that's a bug. That's not supposed to be happening. They're not supposed to be able to get pushed back beyond that spawn point. And even if they did, they should still be taking damage. So this is a bug. It should not happen, and we should get that fixed up.
Is the targeting? Sorry, I'm just thinking. Is the targeting done by
where they are on the screen?
I thought it was done by once they've hit. I
would be flabbergasted if that was the way it was done, but
yeah, I mean, I think the enemies, they start off the screen, and they start in a state that's called spawning, and in that, once they hit, just onto the screen, that state switches into active. And even if they get pushed back past that point, it shouldn't take them out of that active state so that they're not targetable. So I'm not sure, actually. Certainly we could do a few tests on that and see what's going on. Yeah. Okay. Next question here for you from J-Dog.
For me. What's up, J-Dog?
2773. Can we get an option to disable an ultimate that we don't want triggered by the wandering familiar?
Yeah, so we've kind of talked about this before, and I've got a kind of idea for how we would probably end up doing this, and that would be that whenever you have familiars on the wandering familiar, subsequently assigning a familiar to a fixed familiar or a fixed ultimate would, instead of pressing that ultimate, that familiar would stop the wandering familiars from pushing it.
He's just standing there with a stop sign.
He's just standing there with a stop sign. We put a little stop sign into the familiar's hand, or wing, or whatever anatomically correct place we can put it, and that would then stop the familiars on the wandering familiar from doing it.
Yeah, and then can we get a familiar we place there that starts laying bricks? And the other ones start walking up the bricks. And it's got a very Lemmings feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're thinking for that, and we will see.
Oh, don't hit your mic there.
Bonk.
Okay.
World.
Right. Next question here, which is from finally Aegeus.
Well, it's Aegis. But yes. All I want for Christmas is a supercut episode a Day of Trying to Pronounce Names.
No.
That's all I want for Christmas. Todd, are you out there?
Don't do it. Don't say it. Don't think it. Are there any plans to add a favorite character function you can use to slightly increase the odds in wild offers? I want to throw money at you, but every offer is terrible.
Yeah. So we are trying to find a way to kind of solve this and make the wild offers and even weekend promos a little bit better for players who are kind of looking for specific things. So we don't have this specific plan, but we do have some plans in the works to potentially get kind of the wild offers or GEs or whatnot that you want a little bit sooner. So it is something we're thinking about, but it's not something we're explicitly going to be doing this. So something in there.
Okay. The next question here from Kiwi Mischief. When will Ashara's bonds be updated to include Hairgons?
Yeah, and there's a second. The next question here from Doorbell Streams is basically exactly the same thing, asking about Haragon nerds and doppelgangers, since those are sort of the three races that aren't currently in Ashara's bonds.
Haragon nerds and doppelgangers? Oh my.
Oh my, yes. And there's also Ishii specs, and there's one other that has a bunch of races in it. Or maybe there's not. Anyway, I have assigned this out to the other designer here, the mythical other designer here, who's probably watching. Hi, Pete. And we will hopefully get those updated soon, because I believe he did a pass of those and made sure that everything we currently have is in there. So, yes, that is something we are looking into. Oh my, we haven't highlighted any more questions because I got really excited. We've answered actually a lot of questions today.
I know, we've been on a roll.
When you take into account the a dozen or so we had from last week's episode, and then we've answered probably 20 or 30 from this week's, man, I think we're done. I think that's great. Okay, thanks everyone. Let's see here. Shaka, yeah, someone's saying Shaka's puzzles. So Shaka's was one of the ones we were looking at in sort of optimizations to Shaka's puzzles, because as we add more and more races and stuff, it becomes something where we can add in more options to Shaka's puzzle to make that make sense. Here's a question. You can ask this one here, and I can struggle to try and remember the races of the upcoming champions.
Sure. Aquatic Demon 1 would like to know, is one of the 6 champions coming a race we don't have yet? Like a Grung or a Goliath?
Just give me half a second to pull up the design document, because I can't remember. We're actually getting quite far ahead on our design, to the point at which we are, I think we're designing well into April or May at this point, which is really far ahead for us and really great, because it allows us to then come back and think about kind of some of the higher level things in the game, like new features and whatnot. And just looking through the upcoming champions here, it does not look like we've got any of those specific races coming. So sorry for all of the fans of Grungs. Just look in the new champion design working document. Yeah, it doesn't look like we got any Grungs coming. I'm just looking forward a year, so sorry. No Grungs. No. There's another gnome coming. Spoilers! So you can look forward to that.
Okay.
Let's see. Here's a question. You want to ask me that one from Frowning Fish?
Yeah, Frowning Fish would like to know, can we please have legendary items show up on the info collections tab?
Yeah, so I guess, is it right? So I guess the collections tab right now just shows sort of whether or not you have at some point in the history of that champion gotten the uncommon, common, rare, and epic versions of each piece of equipment for each champion. And I think definitely that dialogue as a whole is something we want to expand. And actually, I tend to talk about this every episode or two, so I may as well just talk about it now. But one of the things that I would really like to do in the game is to really expand the collections dialogue to not just include gear, but also includes things like feats and familiars and skins and champions and monsters and adventures and all sorts of, basically just an entire sort of summary of your progression through the game. As right now, there's not really any one place you can go and kind of see like, what percentage am I through the game? What percentage of the feats do I have collected? How many of the skins do I have? What cool things are there for me to collect that I don't have yet? And so that's something that I really want to do at some point. And even things like there's a question that I just saw going through where someone wants to be able to see a champion's details without having to swap that champion onto the bench. And something like that could be into this kind of progression collection tab. So there's definitely some stuff that we want to do with that tab, and certainly when we do, I could see adding legendary items and sort of how many legendary items have I collected? What percentage of them do I have? What percentage of my champions have all 6 legendaries? Stuff like that. And so that's something that I really want to do someday down the road. I just don't have any specifics on when that's going to occur yet. Let's go to the next question here. Here's one. It's highlighted in Dave's color from Dauntless113. I pronounced that one correctly, I hope. And they ask, can the non-mobile version please get the save button?
No.
Oh.
Actually,
rude.
Consider such a thing if players are reporting issues with saving on close for that. I'm fairly confident that has been long sorted and that it actually works. When you close it, it saves pretty much guaranteed every time. I don't think we've been seeing reports of that. Justin, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but
I have not seen any reports of that recently. So it still does sometimes for me take a little bit of time to actually do that closing save, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Next question here from Movoken. Can we soon expect new patron perk levels?
Yes. I just had to balance off your no to the other one. Yes, new patron perk levels are actually something that are coming. Well, I know I designed them a couple of months ago, so I assume they must be coming up relatively soon. So yeah, there are new patron perk levels coming down the pipe.
All right.
We can go back up to this one here.
You crossed most of it out, but we'll go with
I just want to answer the first half.
Okay. Friday CWU asks, are there any updates on refunding over-capped levels?
Yes, there are updates on that, and the update is that the system for that has now been fully designed and fleshed out, and it is now in the hands of the developers of Peter and his team of wizards. So not team at wizards, because he doesn't run a team at wizards, but of wizards. So yes, hopefully that will happen sometime in the nearish future.
But I thought we had if we don't have developers but instead we have wizards, that might explain. Yeah.
That might explain why stuff doesn't get done, because they don't teach you how to program C# at Hogwarts.
It doesn't appear that way. Yeah.
That wasn't one of the classes that I read about in the books.
Okay, let's see.
I found a question here from Grossis.
Grossies?
Who says, it might be difficult, but when you click on a champion involved in a background party, you get a message saying they are in a different party. Can that message say which party they are in?
Yeah, that's certainly an improvement we can make. I'll tag that. I see no reason why that can't be added.
Yeah, whenever I get that, I just go and click on the parties dialogue and bring that up, and we do have the icons of which champions are in which party there. But obviously, having it say which party they're in would likely be a little bit quicker, especially if you knew which party was which, because you can name your parties, right? And I've got my speed gem farming party, and my doing patron variants party, and my failing at Trials of Mount Tiamat party, and so it'd be nice if it said which party they were from.
And it will. We'll make it happen.
It will. Question from Monkey Hoss, which is actually kind of related to a question that I already talked about in detail. But they say, can we get a spot that shows unowned feats without having to click through each champion? When new ones get added, sometimes it's a mystery. And I think the answer to this would be that sort of progression dialogue to show you all of the feats that you are you have not yet collected.
Yeah, for sure. That's certainly. I mean, this was something we talked about a couple of times, and it's even made it onto a few lists. So
it has made it onto a list.
Some lists and some discussions. It'd be a nice to have feature.
Spoilers.
I'm not making any promises. I'm just saying it's there. It's something we've been talking about.
It's on a list. Yeah.
Next to this
that one there. Sure.
Sure. Next question here from Chainstar. Are we getting a fourth adventure party?
Yeah. So I think sometime down the road there will be a fourth adventuring party. We are pretty focused on trying to make sure that like the adventuring parties and mode run progress and offline progression and background progression all works well. And right now we're still not 100% happy with it. So we will likely not do a fourth party, I think, until we are pretty darn happy with it, and until we see the bug list and bug reports for offline and background progression really shrink. Until they are but a speck. And so, yeah, we are planning to do a fourth adventuring party, but it's just a matter of when. Let's see here. Question from Sarum Frost, who asks, when trying to save a Mudrun core layout, they all go to the same save area. This makes it easy to accidentally override or delete one of the layouts that is used on a different core. Can you please make it so core layouts are saved, so each core's layouts are saved on its own? How is this not already the way it is?
Yeah, I'm not. So, I mean, I tagged that. I was actually curious sort of what, yeah, I'm more detailed, I think. I'm not 100% sure what the question was asking. Makes it easy to ask. Like, are they going to the same...
I feel like when you go to save, it shows you all of your core layouts, and you can potentially click override on one that isn't even from the same Modron core.
I mean, that's what it sounds like it's saying, and if that's the case, then that should be different.
That
yeah.
sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. I wonder if this is something that when that was implemented, there was only the one core, and that was just an oversight at the time.
We never only had one core. We launched with 2 cores.
So. Oh, but when it was implemented, this was something that...
We implemented the core saves after the release of the feature. I'm pretty sure we did.
That's true. I was thinking at first that it was one of the things that the students we had, Graham, had worked on, but now that I think about it further, that was Jarrett. He's not watching. He's not watching. He's busy working on the next champion. But yeah, that can definitely be something we can adjust. Yep. If that's the case, and it sounds like it is. So. Okay. Yeah. Next question here is from Dan's 4JB. That's how I'm pronouncing it. That's how it is. Is the healer tag on Yorvin due to his damage reduction skill?
I'm going to assume so, yes. I know we put a healer tag on some of the other champions that do a similar thing. So, yes, that is likely what is referring to. Yeah, I know we had a discussion about what exactly, and we've been talking actually internally about a lot of the tags and about what exactly gets someone tagged with a certain tag, mainly out of when we did the distribution of speed tags to champions, and what is a speed tag and what counts as speed, because we made a specific effort with the speed tag to not apply that to champions that increased or decreased, decreased attack cooldowns. So like Whittle got a speed tag for their spawn speed increases and not for the fact that they can speed up other champions' attacks. Because there's other champions that do that that didn't get a speed tag. So it's possible that the healer tag there is because we kind of decided that damage reduction counts as healing, and it's also possible that at one point Yorvin had a more of a healing ability that we removed. So I will double check on that, but I think you're probably right. It's probably due to the damage reduction skill. And what is the next question here? We are getting close to the end of our hour, but I think we got time for another couple of questions. I'm just trying to scoop through here and see what's here.
Yeah, well, I got this one here from Wandering Bereft for now, and then see what we got after that. Wandering Bereft asks, is it still the intention for nerds to go into the gem store after the promotion period has lapsed? And if so, can you please give a ballpark indication of the cost so that I can save up?
I believe it is. Yeah, it is still the intention for nerds to go somewhere after the promotion period lapses. I'm not sure if it is the gem store. I'm not sure if we've said that before or if that's been the plan. I would have to double check with some other folks on the team to see what the intention was for that. And I have no idea what we would put the cost for whatsoever. So it is the intention for nerds to go somewhere after the promotion lapses, and I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be any sort of paid place, so the gem store would make sense there, but I'm not sure what we would sell and what we would put them there for. So if you haven't gotten the Nerds Champion yet, I would definitely go out and get that, because it is definitely possible to grab that champion, even if you're not in one of the areas where you can actually buy the Nerds candy.
Okay, and we've got one more question here, which I think is going to be the last question of the episode.
Oh my gosh.
Seeing as the chat seems to have jumped the shark. If there are any... question here is from Torontonian. If there are new patron perks coming, can we expect an expansion of the patron shop items too?
Yeah, definitely. I think that the patron shop often gets new items kind of when we add enough new content kind of thing, because it's based off of not just the the cost to purchase them, but also the amount of favor you need to unlock them. And so we will definitely be adding new patron shop items, new skins, familiars, Gs, all that kind of stuff. Over a long enough period of time, we'll add all that stuff. But I heard someone talking about wanting to add some new. What's coming? I think there's some new skins coming down the pipe in the patron shop. So, yeah, keep your eyes out for that.
Cool. All right. Well, it's 2:57, so I think that is all of the questions that we have time for.
Great. Okay. Well, if we didn't get to your question this week, don't worry. You'll have another opportunity. We've got one more show this year, and it's the same time next week on Thursday. What is it? Like the 16th, I think. But before we sign off, we'd like to thank our tireless mods, Mars and Martin, who copy your questions into our questions doc and generally help to make things awesome. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And of course, thanks to all of you for hanging out, watching the stream, and enjoying the game. Because, of course, without you, no one here would get to do what we do.
We'd have to do something else, I guess.
I got nothing. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
No, I only set up mine right, so this is a weird hot mic. What? Why would you say that, Justin?